Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about axes, specifically the axes that I like when I'm splitting firewood. I have mentioned in previous videos I do a lot with turning blanks, breaking down logs for lumber and lathe work. I heat my house with firewood exclusively, and then I sell some firewood, although it's really not a business. It's just I like splitting wood, and I generally process more than I can use in a year. And so I sell firewood. I have tree services that drop to me, so I have no shortage of logs. The logs that I don't want to use, I then give away at like 25 bucks a trailer load. You just pay for me to load it with my equipment kind of thing. But while I have a log splitter for production, I do enjoy splitting with axes. And I've got a couple of different options here, and I'm going to throw my hat in the ring with what I think and my reviews on some of the stuff that you can buy today, and then show you some of the stuff that I make. So we've all seen the fiberglass axes that are available. Fiskars makes one. This is their short one. I have their long one as well. Husqvarna's got a couple of different styles. This is the splitter. It's got that real wide profile. They make this same thing with a narrower profile bit for like a multi-purpose type tool. We've got a regular axe and a maul that I like to use. The fiberglass axes are useful, but they have no soul, right? I like a nice piece of hickory or ash on an old head that I've cleaned up and profiled the way I like it to be. That's just what I like. What I have found with the Fiskars is I think that the handle is too wide, and I think that it's too thick. And I really don't think that it absorbs impact as much as they say it does. With one of my handles, which I'll show you here in a little bit, I know just from using that my handles absorb a lot more impact than this piece of fiberglass does. But these are useful tools, and they do split really well. You don't have to worry about them. You can leave them out. You don't have a wood handle. There's nothing to really go wrong on them. And I believe that these have a lifetime warranty. And so if you break one, you can just take it in and get a new one. One thing I don't like about this bit, though, is the steel in this bit is very hard and it will not take a file. So when you screw this edge up, you have to hit it with some sort of grinder. No file that I have will touch this, and I do a lot of profiling of axes with files. Nothing will touch it. So that is a downside. Sharpening this axe requires you to use some sort of a belt grinder or an angle grinder or something. You can't just file this one up. The Husqvarna axe, which is a very different profile, it's got this radius on the edge. And I think that this splits better than the Fiskars because you get a slicing motion instead of the straight chisel. This is very much in like the Scandinavian pattern or the Gransfors Brook type splitters where it's just a straight bit on it. And I think you get some slicing action out of this, which is why this will penetrate and split a little bit better. They're pretty comparable in weight. I believe Husqvarna sells this as the S2800. It's 2.8 kilograms, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, it's about 5. I think this is a 5.5 pound tool, if I remember, on a short handle. This axe will take a file. So you can file this up. It's pretty easy to do. I just recently sharpened this one. In fact, I sharpened it today before I went out to use it. You can file this. It's hard steel, but a file will cut it, which makes it very convenient for sharpening. So of the fiberglass options, I like the Husqvarna. I wish it was just a little bit longer. This is, I think, 28-inch handle. It'd be great if it was like 32, right? I think the 36 is a little too long. It's a little unwieldy for most applications, unless you're splitting straight on the ground. Then we'll bring it to, I do swing a maul from time to time. This is a Collins maul that I got off Marketplace, and it's an axe eye maul, which I prefer. So this is the handle that came on it. Eventually this will get one of mine, and I think I'm going to put a little curve on the handle that's going to come along with this. But in all things, whether it's a maul or an axe, it's got to be sharp, right? If it ain't sharp, you're working way too hard. So many of the times I see guys swinging mauls and they've got 3/16 of an inch of a blunt edge, and you watch them just swing that thing and just work their asses off to get nowhere. The weight in the wedge does the work, but the sharp edge is what lets you get into the wood and get into this thick wedge. This is running a 30-degree bevel on it, which is what I kind of like on a maul. This is a Council tool, 5-pound head. This is a really nice axe. Council tool probably makes some of the best stuff that you can buy in America, made in America today. Unfortunately, they have kind of moved away from the way they were made back in the day. So this is a straight cheek. There isn't much going on here as far as a high center line. And so this axe is really, really sticky. One of these days I might grind phantom bevels into it and see how it performs better. This splits really nice on straight grain stuff. Oak, straight oak that's not knotty, ash. This works really, really good. This is one of my handles that I patterned off a vintage handle that I got. And if you look down it, you'll notice it's very thin. It's about 7/8 of an inch thick is all it is here. But it's got some width here. And so this haft has plenty of strength because of this cross section, but because it's thinned out, it has lots of flexibility, right? And an axe is an impact tool. And so if you're swinging what you buy in a hardware store today that's got an inch and a half thick haft on it, it's like swinging a tree trunk. You're soaking up all that impact in your hands. Back when men worked in the woods with axes, day in and day out, you would never find a handle thick like that. You found a lot thinner profile in the handle, and that was intentional so that that impact was absorbed by the haft and not transmitted into their hands. So this is one that I make. This is one of my first ones. I've got half a dozen profiles that I like to use. I don't have any other ones to show right now. Most of what I have built I gave away or sold here at the holiday season. I like to buy old axe heads and put them back into service. So I give them, make wedge bangers, give them to my tree service guys. I give them to friends and family that I know will use them. And I sell a few, although it's not really what I do. I like to put the old iron back to work in the way that it was intended to be used. Now here we have kind of an interesting piece. So this is one of those Grand Force Brook splitting mauls. This is an 8-pounder, and a guy came and bought a load of logs from me. I bucked up and loaded a pickup load for him, and we got to talking, and he heats his house with wood, and he splits everything by hand. And he said he's 4 or 5 cords, and he had run out. He was short, and so he bought some ash from me. And got to talk, he splits it all by hand, and he's got these Grand Force Brook. And he was talking about how hard he works in order to split wood. And so I grabbed my maul, my Axon maul, and we went out to some rounds, and I had him swing this a little bit. And this is way less work to use than this, because when it showed up, it had a blunt end, and as Grand Force ships them, these halves are really thick. And I said, look, you really need to have that thing tuned up and it will perform substantially better. So he dropped it off, and we've thinned it out aggressively. If you look right here, you can see that was the thickness that this entire haft was. Just a hateful thing to hold on to and swing. It was uncomfortable to hold in your hands, and it didn't have any type of flexibility whatsoever. It just beat you up to use, and just not a good tool as shipped, which is intentional. So back in the day, axe makers would ship an axe. If it had a handle on it, it would be oversized, and the head would be ground rough, close, in the vicinity of an edge. And the individual end user would then put whatever bevel they wanted on it. They would thin out the handle to what they wanted to be, for thickness and the whole 9 yards based on the work that they were doing. And that's kind of lost in today's day and age. So what you go and buy at the hardware store is really junk, and you need to do a lot of work to it in order to make it a proficient chopping or splitting tool. This one again was really blunt, and so we've put a 30-degree Scandi grind on it. This is just a dead flat grind, no convexity to it. And now this tool splits really, really nice, and it is actually a pleasure to split with, as before it was just terrible. So give me your thoughts. What do you split with? Do you buy your axes from the store? Do you make them? Do you buy them from people who make them? Do you like the fiberglass handles, or do you prefer a piece of wood that you make the way you want, how it fits you? What do you guys like to use out there? Let me know, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.